Welcome back to Hidden Power. This is a Pokemon podcast. Today, we're talking about a rumor, a riddle, kind of a throwback collage that might give us a glimpse at what the Legends EA starter Pokemon are going to evolve into, what their role is going to be in the game, how they'll fight in battle. My name is DustyGogoat. I'm also with TraderLumi.
Hello.
And SoulSilverArt.
What's up?
We're looking at this rumor, riddle. I don't even know what to call this. A collage. It's kind of a throwback with the collage, right? There's an image. It's a picture that showed up on 4chan, right? It basically shows the 3 starter Pokemon next to 3 other, I guess you would say, are fantasy RPG characters.
Right.
And I think what I'd like to do today is take a look at each of these, right, and actually learn together with you guys what their role is in their respective video game. And then I think based on their fighting style, it might be able to tell us what these, again, assuming this is real, it could tell us what these Pokemon could evolve into, these starter Pokemon. Because that's the big question, right? I mean, maybe we'll warm up with this. What are you guys thinking about Chikorita, Tepig, and Totodile? Like, do you think they're going to get Megas, or do you think they're going to get Regionals? Do you have any types that you're kind of predisposed to?
Tell us your whole video.
Yeah, I'll tell you my whole video.
No, don't.
I've got a whole long thing about this as to why, but I do think Chikorita, whether it's, I am leaning Megas, honestly, just because really the gist of it is that this is a game focused on Mega Evolution, whereas Legends Arceus was a game focused on the wild, crazy environment of Hisui, and so it made sense in Legends Arceus, like, to work the starters into that theme by having them have these regional variants for their evolutions. But since this game seems to be so focused around Megas and not like the environment, I am really leaning Mega Evolutions for the starters. But I think that Chikorita, whether it's a variant or a Mega, I think Chikorita, Grass Fairy, I'm like 99% locked in on, because the disarming voice thing is so suspicious. Plus, alongside that, you have the fact that like the fairy type is often associated with nature, right? Like you look at Florges,
totally.
With a lot of inspirations from like nymphs and stuff from Greek mythology. And so I could see that playing a role in Meganium's design. Also, too, the fairy type is usually used for like sweets and aromas and stuff. And, you know, while Meganium is not a food, we do have, despite the videos that you can find on Twitter of people cutting up a Chikorita and eating it, you can...
Stop it!
Nightmare!
You can, like, kind of make the connection of all these dex entries talk about the Chikorita line having like an aroma or like a scent, like a spice scent. So that just really makes me lean fairy. So I think Mega or regional, we're looking at a Grass Fairy Meganium.
Okay.
Yeah. Wow,
that's the only one I'm like certain on.
One little guy.
if it's a mega, I feel like Embor probably firefighting is most likely.
Yeah,
just
I think
because
so.
You know.
I think as well.
Although I never noticed this. Some people have said, like, oh, maybe Tepig could be like a fire electric type, and I'm just looking at his nose, and he does have this strip of yellow right on his nose.
I think people are taking that from the idea of the terror raids they did in Scarlet and Violet for these starters. Yeah. It was psychic type Meganium, electric type Embor, and dark type for Alligator.
Yeah.
I just thought that this could be a whole episode.
It definitely could be a full episode. That's not what we're doing today.
Do it quick, right? So I don't know. I just think probably Megas, and I really could not tell you each type. Like Lumi went over Chikorita pretty well.
I think I want to be surprised.
Yeah, but also it's just like it's so ambiguous right now. Like you really can't tell, and there's a lot to go over. Like I wrote two like giant essays, like two posts about what their types could be. So it's like it's really complex. But yeah, we can go over the characters here. Yes. I do also want to say that we know that there's information out there on the internet, like real information. So this kind of rumor actually is the most interesting because it doesn't tell how fake it is. Like it could be really real because there's no text that is like, oh, my dad's from Game Freak or whatever.
Yeah.
Works for Game Freak.
Listen, you say that, but the tweet that actually
have the leak,
the leak that actually the post that actually leaked the day before the trailer for Legends EA actually started and said, my dad works for Game Freak, yada yada yada, and then it was an image of these starter Pokemon like a day before we actually got them announced. So I know it's a
meme. It was
meme.
actually only like 5 minutes before.
Yeah, I know it's a meme.
All I'm saying is that it's just this is harder to tell if it's fake or not. Because
even after the game releases, because this is something that can be like so subjective. You know what I mean? Like when it releases and like I don't know. Chikorita gets like a slightly darker green, and they're like, "Oh, look, see, like the hair on that woman. I told you, I knew that." You know what I mean? Like it can be so vague, and there'll be no way to like prove this one false.
Yeah,
really.
I'm usually very optimistic, and I think what's cool about this, because we know that the Terra Leaker does have information about Legends EA, they very well could actually know the starter evolutions or their mega forms or whatever. That information, I think I'm assuming, is already out there. Whether or not we get it ahead of the game is kind of the big mystery. And because this isn't text, because this is truly a riddle, right? Or a collage. I guess it's a riddle, right? It's like, here's some things. Think about what this could be. Make the connections you wanna make. They might be there. I guess I would tend to. I guess I just wouldn't be surprised if this ends up being very indicative or in line with what we actually end up with. So just to break this down, to get into it, this wouldn't be a Hidden Power production without going over time and longer than we would actually anticipate. We're already 6 minutes in. Anyways, all right. So Chikorita is next to this female character. Her name is Sothis or Sothis.
We don't play these games.
I did play this game. Actually.
This is from Fire Emblem Three Houses.
What'd she do, Soul?
Yeah, what'd she
goddess,
do?
Actually, she's like it's been a while, but she like.
It says it right here. Yeah, she's a goddess.
Main character. Yeah, she kind of lives inside the main character. I think she turns into a dragon.
Dude, are you kidding me?
Yeah,
that's so cool. Dragon type, grass dragon type, Meganium, man. That's awesome.
That would be cool.
Because I think that's what we want. That's what we want to look at here. Like, what are the big, sweeping, like, what are the main points of interest with these characters? I think if these characters are going to be chosen as a hint at what the starter Pokemon could turn into, it's going to be whatever is the most glaring thing about them. And if you're telling me she turns into a dragon,
I don't know if she turns into a dragon. I don't remember correctly. That's why I was like, you should definitely read it. But like I said, I don't see the dragon. Maybe she fights, like she is strong against dragons, so that could be fairy. So just
okay, sure.
Yeah.
According to this Reddit post, which it's Reddit, but they're talking about this character, and they seem to be suggesting that they say in it that she came from space, which would make her an alien. If I wanted to read too much into that, I would say that's further evidence of mecha evolutions.
Yeah, true. I don't know if that's true though. Just read the first little blurb up there, wherever she who she is.
It says the church claims that she came from the Blue Sea Star. The Blue Sea Star, they believe, this is like theory on this person's part, but they believe that that's Sirius, like, in space.
Yeah, so this is a mysterious individual appearing as a young girl though only to Bethel in dreams, whom she seems to have a special connection to. Yeah, that doesn't tell us much.
It's,
Byleth in
up here, Byleth, yeah.
She possesses a major crest of flames. I don't know what that means. That's a Fire Emblem thing.
Breath fire, Meganium.
Yeah. Maybe go to like the biological attributes or whatever.
Yeah, there's not much here because I just haven't played the game, so it's tough.
Even the personality could be something. Like it talks about how she is usually sleepy. Maybe that's something like a lot of grass types have like sleep powder or spore. Maybe there's something there. I don't
think that. Again, I would say it would have to. Okay, what does Sothis dragon form look like?
This is kind of like what I said though, like about this is so like this riddle is so vague that we can revisit this in a year and we will not be able to prove it wrong. Like we'll be able to find a connection.
Yeah,
I don't know if that is.
It's saying she has a dragon or she is a dragon.
Most Fire Emblem characters can change into like some kind of animal or dragon, so I think that Dude,
I really think if that's the case, and again, I'm making just for listeners, we're trying to figure this out live. I feel like if she turns into a dragon, or if that's a core part of who she is, there's no other reason why someone would pair her specifically versus anyone else. right?
Whether it's true or not is another story.
She apparently has time-based powers, like she can freeze time and rewind time, which is just kind of interesting because there's the connection of Chikorita being a Johto Pokemon. In Johto, the mythical is another grass-type Pokemon that is known for rewinding time. So it would be cool if like they kind of did a connection to the Chikorita line to Meganium, like to Celebi through like a Mega Evolution or something that kind of gave it similar powers.
That's like her whole gimmick throughout the game. Like she rewinds time so that you can like play it over.
She also can speak telepathically, so one could read that as the psychic type.
So she does. Okay, I'm getting confirmation here. She does have a dragon form. She does turn into a dragon. I don't know if that's unique to her, but as far as I'm concerned, I think that is the biggest predictor here. I think that's the biggest reason why this person would be put here next to Chikorita versus any other character. So I'm making the prediction.
Let's see if the other characters actually do something similar. You know, like maybe there's like a theme throughout all of them.
Sure, yeah. Like what if this guy turns into, I don't know, a stove, and then boom, Chef Tepig confirmed. Dusty's dream is complete.
But like what his class is too, because usually if this is an RPG thing, it's like they'll have a class. So maybe he'll be like some kind of berserker or something crazy like that.
Yeah, actually, just to go back to Chikorita, then like if her starting class is a goddess, that makes me think of healing, which is in line with Meganium already. But if that's its play style, that's pretty cool. If it maybe became a grass dragon type and it was more defensive in that way. That's fun. That's a lot of fun. So next is Tepig.
It does say, wait, before you move on from Chikorita, I do want to touch on real quick the other class it listed as is a Grimory, and reading on that is, there's some things you could get from that. For one, it's proficient in magic, so you could read that into, perhaps psychic or fairy.
Yep.
But also it does say it's a female exclusive class, which could kind of maybe tell you that like Chikorita will have the more quote-unquote feminine design.
I mean, I think it already does. Yeah,
it already does. I don't think they're going to change that, to be honest.
I think it's an easy guess,
Yeah. No, but that's cool. I missed that. That's good. Yeah, so that's cool. I like that. Moving on to Tepig, Tepig was aligned with this character, Magnus,
none of us know.
from the games of, I think it was Tales of Symphonia. One of the Decian Grand Cardinals. He is in charge of the there's his role in the game.
Ranch.
So his weapon, so he's a half elf, and he wields a battle axe.
So usually berserker or like fighting type kind of thing.
Yeah, I kind of like how his hair is back like this. I mean, if we're gonna take any visual examples from these characters, I like that he's got a slash on his eye. I mean, I could see like Embor's tusks growing in a mega form, growing so much that they've actually scarred themselves, or the scar is just from
some pigs do
some sort of combat.
There's a pig that its tusk literally will keep growing until it penetrates its own head and kills itself.
That's crazy. That sounds like a mega evolution.
Could
rough.
Yeah,
rough.
And let's
also
say,
too, you have the fire beard. Turn that into like a fire, like man bun.
Absolutely, that's exactly what I was thinking. Yeah, this guy's got a man bun, so that would make a lot of sense.
I'm still shook that that's a beard. It's news.
It's definitely
a
beard.
To me.
It's
totally a beard.
What else?
I never thought of it as.
What did you think it was?
Beard. I just like a fire
neck
collar,
or something.
collar. Yeah, just fire. Yeah, I never thought of it as a beard.
Let's see.
He also has a heavy axe and a shield.
He's definitely like a fighting type. Like category. I forget what they're called.
Which, for the record, would be more credit to Megas because if it's firefighting, Embor's either getting the worst regional form of all time or it's not getting a regional form.
Yeah.
A regional form that doesn't even change typing.
I want to see Magnus the Pyroclasm. So he is represented.
He's Pyroclasm too, yeah, fire. Pyro has.
Let's
stuff
see.
With fire.
Pyroclasm. I'm trying to see if he has an alternate form of some way, and it really might just be as simple as that he really is just a wielder of fire. He's a berserker. So I'm not seeing.
Yeah, I think it's class based, like all of these.
Yeah.
Or like on what their RPG class is.
Yeah, he is half elf. I don't know how that could be determined at all. I guess that does remind me of I think everything about Embor reminds me of Ganon, right? the pig demon from the Legend of Zelda series.
I wish they leaned into that so much more.
In its human form, Ganondorf is, I guess, he does have the pointed ears. So I guess that doesn't tell us too much, but I think it's interesting. Human, I love the scars all over this guy's body, and if he, can you imagine a way like what if Embor was like had some sort of like fire weapon, you know? Could you see that? I
could see it. It'd be pretty cool, actually.
It just like has like
I mean,
Rillaboom has drums, so
it's true.
Rillaboom has drums. Samurai has a sword. You know, Skeletor's has a little bird that hops around him. You know, I mean, Decidueye has a bow and arrow. I mean, it's not impossible.
True. So finally, Totodile is next to this character. Where is it? Right here, Seymour Guado from Final Fantasy. This guy is, I mean, he's got the blue hair. Yeah. Oh, is he represented with an antagonist as an antagonist?
Yeah, he's a bad guy for sure.
So he's of the race Guado, which is, let's see, Guado. I'm trying to see what a Guado is.
He might be magical though, because I think that spear is like a staff.
Yeah, it does say its weapon is a staff.
It might be dark type, to be honest. That's what I'm seeing from this, what he's trying to get at.
Yeah, he's also apparently a minister, and performs like rituals at like a temple or whatever, and summons things. So that is really interesting.
No, that's really interesting because like, weird. I guess what the popular theory with Totodile is like, Feraligatr is already kind of that berserker, like fighting style alongside Embor. So maybe it would make sense that one of them wouldn't remain with that personality. Like maybe Feraligatr is not going to be this brute. Maybe Feraligatr is going to be more, and I think all the Feraligatr fans are like hating this, but maybe it is going to be a little bit more magical and more of like a special attacker versus a physical attacker.
Yeah, it could be. I definitely think they're pointing to dark with this character.
Yeah, I think so too. Listen to this, Dusty. They say that like, about this guy, they talk about how he's an arrogant and cruel man, and apparently there's even points where he kills someone who's standing in his way and then rationalizes that by murdering them, he has saved them from the pain of life. So like, he's a psychopath. Like he's a full-on like sociopath.
Yeah, I've seen him a bunch of times.
Okay, so that makes sense. No, that totally makes sense to me.
Does that line up with what Lumi was thinking at the beginning? So to me,
I think dark type makes sense.
I think it does. I think it does, because
to me it says fairy fighting dark. That's what I see, and it is a type triangle maybe.
Fairy fighting dark. No, fairy beats the other two. But in fairness, Meganium deserves that because it's been so long.
Also, Legends Arceus, their starters, they didn't. I mean, we can talk about this in a starters episode, but they didn't make a perfect type or a
I don't think it
needs.
Either. Yeah.
They still affected each other.
No, and even like if you look at the Sinnoh starters, you know, Empoleon Steel, which is weak to actually both Infernape and Torterra's ground and fighting. You know, so it's not like married to that. I do think though something interesting about this though is I was talking about before how like one reason I was concluding like Fairy on Chikorita was reading its dex entry and it talking about like throughout all the generations, it talks about like the smells, the aromas that this Pokemon gives off, which, you know, kind of Fairy it's usually associated with. And if you look at Totodile's like description that the Pokemon Company gave us for Legends EA, it again for Chikorita talks about its scent. And with Totodile, it talks about how, like, you know, it'll bite you, don't turn its back on it. Yeah. And so it kind of does, like, make you lean dark. Tepig is interesting, though, because it really mainly only talks about how it's like a glutton and it likes to eat. And maybe that could be indicative of, like, the route they go with Embor.
It does also talk about him being, like, nimble and moving around quickly.
Okay.
Yeah, so it does. Yeah. I think it still points to fighting. Yeah, like I said, I did a whole post on like each one of those little blurbs, and we can go over it in a bigger video.
We should do a full video. That'd be a lot of fun.
I agree. But yeah, I think that's what this is trying to say. And you know what's hilarious about this is that they could get it right, and we could think that it was a real leak, but
it wasn't.
It could just be fake. It could just be a prediction.
That's a great place to end it. Thank you guys for watching. If you, you know, if this is your first time watching the channel, This, on Hidden Power Plus, we do these rumors. I think they're fun. We also upload a lot of like isolated long form clips, segments of our full length podcast that we produce, that we upload on the main channel every single week. There's like a 2-hour podcast, whether it's with some of your favorite creators or deep dive discussions into everything about the Pokemon games, Pokemon Legends ZA Generation 10. We talk about it all. If you like this, you're definitely going to like that channel, the main podcast. And yeah, I do think we're going to, honestly, I would like to do that in the next couple of weeks, a full breakdown video about like what, just kind of like idealizing and trying to figure out what these starter Pokemon would turn into. I think we definitely got to do that.
I hadn't thought about it until this very moment, but yes, we should.
I've been thinking about it. It's on my list.
The obvious idea is right under your nose.
Yeah,
for real.
But yeah, thank you guys for watching. Make sure you subscribe. Go check out the link in the description to check out the full podcast. And if you want to support on Patreon, there's also links in the description. We'll see you very soon. Bye.
Bye.